People might look at you like, oh girl, you driving that? Baby, yeah, I'm whipping it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Ari, and in today's video we're going to be doing a podcast. I'm super excited to be bringing this forward to you guys because I haven't done a podcast in a minute. So today we are going to be talking about all the things that I've learned since I've come to Jesus Christ. If you guys have been following me for a while, then you know that coming up in about 3 months is when I got baptized. So I'm really excited to be bringing this forward to you guys and just talking with you guys about all the things that I've learned. Of course, I've learned so many other things, but these are just some key points that I have learned on this journey. But before we get into this video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, comment anything that you've learned on your walk with Christ, and also turn my post notifications on so you can see more of me, because I want you guys to be a part of my family. I want us to grow and evolve together in Christ and just as sisters and brothers, you feel me? So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into this video. I did post about this on Instagram and on TikTok, but today I want to go ahead and just bring it to YouTube because it's never too much to spread the gospel. So yeah, just a little transparency post. I've been on a roller coaster the last few months since I got baptized. If you've gotten baptized, you know the spiritual warfare that comes after baptism and giving your life to Christ is real deal. It's not something that's light, and it's not to be taken lightly because it's a big deal. A lot of people who don't know Christ might look at spiritual warfare and be kind of like startled because they're like, what's going on? Like, this is a lot. I'm just having all these random things that are happening to me. But y'all, it's part of the walk with Christ. When you get baptized, demons don't like that, the devil don't like that, so it's overtime. So today we're going to talk about the things that I have learned since I've given my life to Christ, and these are life tips just in general. Even if you're not Christian and you're watching this, these are things that you can actually like incorporate into your daily. So without further ado, I'm not gonna talk y'all socks off. We're just gonna go ahead and get into it. Y'all know my videos be on point, to the point. We don't do all that extra talking around. So the first thing that I want to talk about is modesty. There's so many conversations when it comes to modesty. So many people have different opinions. You know, modesty is definitely subjective. I will say that modesty is subjective because one person's form of modesty is not the next. Now, there is clear lines that indicate that somebody's not being modest, but there's just certain topics that people have conversations about and they just don't agree with, like tight-fitting shirts. You know, me, I like me a nice little tight-fitted top, you know, crew neck, but to a person who's probably like more modest, that's not modest to them, you know, like, and that's okay. I am definitely open to those conversations. I've had in my fellowship and stuff like that. I am just very aware that modesty is subjective, and what I consider more modest and classy might not be modest and classy to somebody else, and we can agree to disagree. But I also know my Lord and Savior, and I know that I don't have to sit here and have no identity or express myself to be modest. And that is bringing on to my first point, which is modesty isn't boring. You just have to get creative. A lot of people look at modesty and they're like, oh, I can't dress anymore, I can't express myself anymore. That is not the case at all. Whenever you give your life to Christ, modesty is going to obviously be a thing that you start pushing on yourself in general, and your Holy Spirit will start wanting you to dress more modestly. But there are ways that you can dress modestly and still express yourself. Just because you're dressing modest does not mean you have to have no fashion sense or no identity in your clothes, because one thing about me, since I was younger, I've always loved clothes. And if I can find some old pictures, I'll pop some pictures up for you guys, but I've always loved clothes, always loved to express myself. I used to sew when I was younger. I used to be all into fashion design. At one point I actually wanted to go to fashion design school, and I just never did, but I've always loved clothes, and hence me starting a clothing line. Actually, before we get into that, this is a sweater I just dropped. It's pink and it just says God. It is so cute, and yeah, so this is my sweater. This is actually a failed sweater because the iron kind of messed that part up. It like seep through or something, so that was one of my failed attempts of a sweater. But yeah, I just dropped my sweaters, which is crazy. I love fashion, I love all those things. I love expressing myself through clothes. I feel like if you're a woman and you like clothes, you're gonna want to express yourself through it. Like when you're feeling confident, we have our outfits that we go to for confidence. When you're feeling, you know, lazy, we have our lazy girl outfits, our airport outfits, our casual outfits, our errand outfits. We literally have so many choices as women, and it's such a beautiful thing to be able to, you know, dibble and dabble into modesty and learn new ways to express yourself through it. So that was my first tip that I've learned throughout my modesty journey. Modesty is not boring. You just have to get creative, and the farther I get into modesty, the more I learn I can be creative and I can express myself, and there's cute clothes and just things you wouldn't look at on the normal that you'll start to look at when you become modest. So my second point would be, if you have a gift is meant to worship and give servitude to Jesus Christ. Now that can be singing, dancing, crafts, building houses, whatever. Everything you do should be to praise the Lord of some sort or worship God to some sort. And somebody's like, well, how if I build a house can that, you know, be a form of worship? You're using your gift that God has given you to build houses for people. You know, like, you just have to be aware of what your gift is and what your calling is. And even if you're building houses, you know, you can literally go into building churches. You know, you can find ways to use your gift for the glory of God, or go on mission trips and go build houses for people that need houses. You know, like, there's ways you can use your gift to serve God. And of course, I'm always going to give y'all a personal example. Mine would be my love for crafts. I love crafts. I love to build things. I love to make things. I love to use my hands to create things. I love painting. Like, if y'all would have seen my room before I even got in this room did not look like this at all, y'all. This was like a very old looking room because this house has been around for a really long time. I put wallpaper up, I spray painted everything. I made this room modern, and that is just something that I absolutely love about myself. I love the fact that I have gifts and I use it to express God, which is what I do in my business. A lot of people have manufacturers and stuff like that. I make everything handmade. So every single thing that you receive from me, if you purchase from me, is handmade, made with love, using my gift from God. That's why if you look at my business page, my bio says handcrafted jewelry and clothing from above, because I literally use the gift that God's given me to worship him through giving other people things to worship him as well, and just show gratitude to him. Because if you're walking around with God on, baby, people know you're anointed, period. Another way would be, you know, singing. I actually like to sing. I have stage fright, but I definitely want to get into singing more, and I want to get into a church choir. I just have not found a church yet that I have seen as a home for me, but I definitely want to serve the Lord through singing. And I've always had like a feeling when I go to church, when we're going through worship and stuff, like, that should be me up there. That should be me up there singing to the Lord, you know. So that is something that I want to use to God, and until I'm using it for God, I will not be using it on platforms. You know, like, I'm not gonna sit here and be singing secular songs or making secular music and pushing it. I want to sing for the Lord. I want to give glory to the Lord. So that is something that I have learned as well on my walk with Christ. Every single gift we're given is used to express gratitude to God. Even Jesus was a craftsman. Like, he literally used his gift to build people things and spread his ministry. Like, I look at, you know, Christian apparel and stuff like that as a way to spread the ministry of God. You know, when I see people praise dancing, that's a way to spread the ministry of God. When I see people using their crafts and stuff like that, or their gifts to touch other people, that is spreading the ministry of God. Even gospel music, that's spreading the ministry of God. So I definitely look at gifts as a way to show gratitude and express love and servitude to God. The third thing that I have learned is being at peace is more fulfilling than a life of chaos. And you know, with spiritual warfare, there's a lot of chaos that comes on this journey, but there's also chaos that we put on ourselves if we haven't healed from traumas, if we haven't, you know, went through therapy, or if we haven't actually talked about things that bother us. That is going to cause chaos in your life. And I've personally learned that myself as well, because there were so many things that I didn't even know I needed to be healed from, and there's still so many things I'm working through and will probably learn that I need to be healed from. But when you get closer to God, God naturally brings out the things that need to be healed in you so that he can heal them in you, you know. So one thing that I've learned since I've been on this walk with Christ is how many things have actually made me who I am, and how many negative traits I had in myself that needed to be healed and fixed. Because before God, I was walking around doing so many things. I didn't think twice about the things I was doing. I didn't care if it hurt the next person. I didn't care if I was, you know, destroying somebody else's life, or if I was causing others pain because of my actions. Like, even past relationships, I have caused pain to those people and didn't even realize it until I've been healed. And even in my present relationship, we've had obstacles where I wasn't healed and it caused chaos. You know, when you're not healed from things, it causes chaos. Simple. Come into everything you do with peace in your heart. Let Jesus be your peace, because it will bring peace to your life in general. Wherever there's chaos, there's destruction, and that is something that I guess I could say is like a life quote for me. Wherever there is chaos, there's destruction. So if your job is chaos, there's going to be a destruction in the workplace for you, or with your goals in your workplace. If there is chaos in your relationship with God, it's going to seem confusing on your walk with God. If there's chaos in your relationship's going to fail. If there's chaos in your friendships, it's gonna fail, because chaos in friendships is like drama. You can't keep a friend unstable. That's gonna literally ruin your friendships, even with anything you do. If there's chaos in your mind with anything you're pursuing, you're not gonna be able to have a clear mind to actually complete it or do it. So I definitely learned that a life without chaos is peace. A life without dysfunction is peace. When I say chaos, that is more so me saying a life of healing, a life of Jesus. Like when you accept Jesus, you're accepting all the good character traits that you're supposed to grasp when you accept him into your life. So definitely think about that. Think about things that you need to be healed from. Think about how Jesus can heal you in those moments. Think about what things have you done that are chaotic. What things have you done to other people that are chaotic? Forgive yourself for them, but also learn that you have to move forward from those things and let those things go, because you'll never grow as a Christian or even a person in general if you cannot heal, if you cannot remove the chaos in your lives. And demons operate on chaos. That is just something that I want to point out. Demons are chaotic. They like chaos. They like drama. Why do you think the world is operating the way it is? Why do you think people are thriving off negativity and drama and chaos? Why do you think people get a laugh off of seeing people fight on reality TV? Why do you think people get a laugh off of seeing people hurt? Why do you think people get laughs off of doing people dirty? That is because the times we live in now, people operate on chaos. So definitely understand the deeper meaning of the term chaos. Okay, the next thing I would say is love the small things so you don't live a life of materialism. Now, that does not mean it is not okay to like nice things. Clearly, I like nice things, but if you do not have gratitude in the small things that God gives you, you will never appreciate the bigger things that are given you. Yes, there are people on this planet who have been blessed with, big things quickly, automatically. But a lot of us who are God-fearing, God has to put us through trial and tribulation and growth processes to be able to accept the bigger things that we are given. And that is one thing that I've learned. Even in this season, there's times where I'm like, dang, I'm not getting enough orders, or, I didn't make enough today, or, I feel like I'm not making enough money. And I'm like, Ariana, but your bills are paid. You're fine. There's a roof over your head. Relax. And when I think of that, there's gratitude in that. And I say that to say that you just have to learn to love the small things. And that can mean anything. If I drive a 2012 Impala, y'all, and this is me being really transparent with y'all. I drive a 2012 Impala, but guess what? It's paid off. So I used to like get in my head a lot, and I'm like, I'm an influencer, like I should be driving this and this and this, I should be looking like this. And I don't think like this anymore, but I'm like, I should be appearing this way, and since I'm an influencer, I'm supposed to look a certain way, I'm supposed to live a certain life, I'm supposed to be in a high rise by now, like nothing's going right. And it took a lot of praying and gratitude to understand that I'm right where I need to be. And now that I'm in this point, I'm like, okay, I drive a paid off car. There's somebody out there who doesn't have a car. There's people out there who have these nice cars and they're living certain lives, but they are scrabbling every month to pay that car note, to keep that car. So I say this to say, if you are in a situation where you feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough, I don't have enough, you do have enough. You have life. You have breath in you. You woke up this morning, you have family members, you have your friends. I literally look at certain people who, like, I'll just give an example. I look at people who are rude to their mothers like they're ungrateful, because my mother died when I was 17 and I'm 22 and I'm growing through life without a mother figure. So I say all this to say that if you're in a point in your life where you feel like nothing is good enough for you, it is, and God will literally give you more when you accept the fact that you are right where you need to be. Like, I literally have been making so much money lately that if I wanted to go buy a new car, I could. But you know what I did? this is me being a little transparent about my life, but I'm taking a little sum of money to get my car fixed right now instead of going to buy a new car, because I feel like even though I have the money to do it, I need to still appreciate the small things that I have. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, even though I have the money to where I can go get a new car right now, I'm thinking of priorities, because there's nothing wrong with my car. It's paid off. I don't have a car note. Like, I literally only have insurance. And I'm like, Ariana, you know, people might look at you like, oh girl, you driving that? Baby, yeah, I'm whipping it. I'm whipping it. Yeah, and I'm gonna continue to whip it, and I'm gonna continue to whip it until God places in my heart, Ariana, okay, it's time. Because when I have like moments of doubt about things and I'm like, I don't know, should I really buy a new car? I don't know yet. I'm like, it's not time for me. Even with my business, I was like, I shouldn't start it right now. I shouldn't start it right now. God put it in my heart one day, start that business. I started the page instantly, and it was at the right time. That's what I needed in that moment of time. So I just say all this to say, be grateful for the small things, because behind the gratitude of you appreciating the small things is the door to the bigger things you need. It's the door to blessings that God has just waiting for you. And I'm gonna be real transparent with y'all. Some people are gonna go through a lot of trials, and some people's blessings will be smaller than ours. Smaller, let me emphasize smaller. I mean, like, there's somebody out there who probably lives in like shack somewhere, and God's blessing for them eventually will be a nice home, like just a nice home. That's their blessing. Like, everybody's blessings is different, everybody's past is different, everybody has their own plans. So my blessings that I'm praying for are gonna be way different than somebody who doesn't live the same lifestyle as me. You get what I'm saying? So I just have to be appreciative of the things that I am being blessed with in this moment of time, and I'm so grateful for everything in my life. I'm grateful for everything. Like, even with the car situation, there's times I haven't had a car. Like, I haven't had a car, and I'm gonna be real transparent with y'all, for about 7 months now. And I finally started making enough money to be able to go fix my car. And instead of me going to buy a new car, I'm gonna fix my car, and I'm gonna enjoy my car, and I'm going to appreciate it. And when God puts it in my heart to invest into a new car, y'all will see it, because I definitely will come on here and tell y'all about it, because y'all my family. I'm gonna tell y'all about it and let y'all see it, because I worked hard for that, and God put it in my heart to get a new car. So yeah, that's just a little transparency about me. And that's just something that I really learned to accept on this walk with Christ. The next thing is, you do not have to sin to have fun. I'm so tired of this generation pushing sin to have fun. You do not have to go out and do things that are not of God as a Christian to have fun. And I mean that is getting drunk every weekend, you know, having the sleep around culture going on. All of those are sins biblically. And I know a lot of people gonna hit dogs are gonna holler. But honey, hitting the club up Saturday night, getting drunk, and then going to church in the morning and trying to say you love God and going back to your lifestyle that you just was living the night before, that's not of God. And I'm gonna make a whole video about that soon. So stay tuned for that podcast about living your life for the world and living for God. Stay tuned for that. But you do not have to sin to have fun. There are so many things that you can do that do not require sin. And if y'all want a video of me like giving y'all like a list of ideas of things that you can do that don't require sin, let me know, because I can literally come up with a whole list of things and let y'all know some activities that don't require sin. Because I feel like a lot of people, you know, still live those lifestyles of sin because it's what they see on social media, and people think that having fun means you gotta go do stupid things, and that's not the case. There's so many things to do in the world, free and of cost, that you can go do to enjoy life. And that part is pretty self-explanatory, but there's so many things you can do, and instead of sinning, give gratitude to the Lord, or do things that actually show appreciation for the world that you're put on. So yeah, that's very self-explanatory. You do not have to sin to have fun. And if your homegirl's trying to make you sin to have fun, you need to cut them off, because baby, they're not your friends for real. Any sister of Christ is going to encourage you to live a life as sinless as possible. Anybody who loves you is going to try to help you live a life as sinless as possible and not bring you down with them. So just keep that in mind. The next thing, which is going to really sink in deep for a lot of people, is forgiveness is mostly for you and not the other person. And it took me years to understand that, y'all. Like, it took me years to understand that forgiving somebody is for me, not for them. Because I just want to give an example. If you're living a life of not forgiving somebody, do you know how much suppressed anger and energy you're giving that person? Oh, okay. Do you know how much time, effort, and energy it takes to hold a grudge against somebody? You can forgive somebody and not rekindle anything with them. That's another thing. A lot of people are like, well, I forgive them, but I guess I have to, like, no, you don't. Friends, family, whatever. You do not have to rekindle relationships with people who hurt you and took you down. Now, let me kind of elaborate. There are people who actually make mistakes in this world. And we are human, and that's why forgiveness is key, and praying and fasting on things is key, because God will give you the answer you need. I am gonna say forgiveness is for you, because you're holding all these negative emotions and demons in for no reason, when all you have to do is forgive somebody. You don't gotta talk to them. You know how many people I've had to forgive and I've never spoken to again? I never got an apology for. I've never got closure from friends to family to relationships. There's so many people that I have, never got my real closure from, and I had to forgive them. And then there was points in my life where I had to forgive people, and then later in my life those people would come back and apologize to me. Those people would literally tell me, hey, I'm sorry, I know this is random, I'm sorry. We didn't rekindle nothing, but guess what? I got my closure some way, somehow. God is so merciful and graceful that if you need closure in a situation, some way, somehow, he's going to make sure you get that closure. So I'm just going to tell you this. If you don't forgive somebody, you need to work on it. It takes a lot of self-growth and healing to be able to work on forgiving somebody. And if you can't forgive somebody, you have to also think about yourself. Think about yourself, because let me read this to you. For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you don't forgive men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Matthew 6:14. So yeah, let me give y'all another one. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has grievances against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Colossians 3:13. Y'all, Jesus died for you. And are you perfect? He took up the ultimate sacrifice and died so that you could be forgiven. So, and you done unthinkable things to the Lord as well, if you really thinking about it, because we break like laws all the time of the Bible, even laws that Jesus placed. Like, we break them all the time. So when you think about it, like, the Lord is making sure he forgives you for your sins. So what makes you better than him? What makes you better than God where you cannot forgive somebody for hurting you? And I know that sounds like, Ariana, you don't understand like what this person did. I do understand. I'm gonna give y'all an example. My mother was brutally murdered. And if you have watched my testimony video from like about a year ago, I kind of talked about it a little bit. My mother was brutally murdered by somebody. I never got closure from that situation. I don't even know who killed my mother for real. Never got closure, never understood what happened, never did. And I felt so much anger for everybody around me, because it's a lot deeper than what I'm going to talk about on here, but I felt so much anger for everybody around me. And there's times where I still feel very upset with those people. But I had to sit down one day and remember that my mother was with God. Now, that took a lot. And I didn't know who killed my mom. And I had to literally sit there and say, even though you took my mother from me, the person who birthed me, my life source, I forgive you. And that changed me. It changed my outlook on life. It made me more soft and understanding, and that's why I cannot hold grudges against anybody at all. Like, I'm one of the most easiest people when it comes to forgiving people. I'm the easiest person to forgive somebody, because I know I'm not perfect. I've hurt people. I've done things that I shouldn't do. And I know that when I stand before God, I do not want him to say, depart from me, I never knew you, because I didn't let it in my heart to forgive somebody for hurting me. And that hurt. Losing my mother at 17, that almost killed me. Literally, I'm not even joking. Like, I literally was depressed and feeling ways that like I really have never talked about after that. And I had to literally put that in my heart that I forgive this person for killing my mother. And I really mean that. And I really hoped that the Lord did what he seemed fit. Like, that person killed herself after they killed my mom. But I always look at it like the Lord will handle people the way they see fit. And I've talked about this before with my boyfriend. The Lord handles people the way he sees fit. So I've seen people do people dirty, and God still blesses them. Because guess what? He might have handled them in a way that like wasn't negative at all. Somebody might have actually got a blessing and that changed their life. They changed their outlook on life. Somebody might have met somebody who changed them as a person. I actually know somebody that had a girlfriend, and he was not a good person before he met his girlfriend. Well, he wasn't a bad person, but he wasn't the best person, and he wasn't that good of a person in his relationships. And he started dating this girl, and they didn't work out, but she taught him so much that when they broke up and he got another relationship, he did everything right for the next girl. Became God-fearing, everything. Things happen, but things always work out in God's plan. So once again, forgiveness is for you and not the other person. Just learn that nobody is too good for forgiveness, because whenever it's time to stand before the Lord, you're going to want him to forgive you. And the last thing that I've learned is Jesus is home, and when you find him, you find purpose and fulfillment. And that's really self-explanatory, but a lot of people don't know Jesus for real. They don't know who Jesus is. They don't know the wonders that he works in people's lives. And a lot of people try to say, oh, God's not real, Jesus is not real. First of all, scientifically, since a lot of people are atheists and stuff like that, Jesus is proven to be real. It's actual evidence that that man existed. Like they like to say, that man. Yeah, that man existed. Jesus existed, and there's actual proof that shows that Jesus existed. So that whole, oh, Jesus didn't exist thing, that's a lie. That's just something that people say to be a troll. And people are like, well, God doesn't exist. Jesus is the physical representation of God, so that means God exists. Ugh, Lord. That ate low-key. People are like, oh, God don't exist. Jesus is the physical representation of him, honey. So yes, he did exist. He very much did exist. People don't understand that when you build a relationship with Christ, you actually start to discover who you are. And one thing that I realized that people can never deny is the grace and beauty of following Jesus. I've seen so many people who were down bad and they find Jesus and completely change. There's this beautiful girl that I follow, her name's Olive, but before Christ, and it was just so beautiful to see, I'm just saying this because I recently just seen this. Before Christ, like, it looked like she was very depressed. She looked like she really had no life to her, and she found Jesus, and y'all, that girl just glows like the sun now. So beautiful. I know another girl, her name's Shadeen, and I briefly talked about her testimony when I met her. If you've watched my videos, she actually is in one of the videos that I have, and she's such a beautiful girl, such a beautiful spirit. Love her. She literally was not on track with Christ, and I'm not gonna talk too much about her testimony because that's not my place, but has a beautiful testimony. And now she is God-fearing, a beautiful girl, graduating actually tomorrow, and it's just so beautiful. Like, I've seen so many people who did not know Christ, and then they know Christ now, and it's like, wow, like, it's beautiful to see people change for Christ. Like, to 1 minute be living in the world looking depressed, no life to you, to finding Christ and it looks like you have been connected to a battery and recharged. So I say all this to say, when people say that God isn't real or Jesus isn't real, I don't believe it, because I see people's testimonies. I see my testimony. Jesus is very much real, and when you find him, you find your purpose, and things just become less clouded and confusing for you, and you understand life a lot more than you did before you knew Christ. And for that, I'm completely grateful to Jesus, and I wish everybody would accept him and just understand him. And for the people who have strayed from Jesus, and if you're watching this and you strayed from Jesus, know that Jesus wants you to come back home. And don't let church hurt stray you from God. Do not let people's personal free will make you turn from God. Understand that what people do is not God. God is God. God's work on you is God solely. And a lot of people are like, well, God was real, why would he let people do this and that? Once again, the things that people try to push on God are things that other people have done to somebody else, and things that God have done in the Bible, like flooding the earth and stuff like that, because I see a lot of people bring that up. Do you not understand how bad the sin was? It's almost just as bad as it is now. Like, if you actually like keep up with the Bible and stuff like that, you'll understand that we're starting to get to that as well. People are literally evil. Like, I see it every single day on the internet. So I say all this to say, God does not do things to people. People do things to people, and God has the ultimate say so. And that's why when people do evil to me, I just have to take it in the heart and keep on going and forgive, because God is going to handle people, whether it's good or bad. God is going to handle these people, and letting other people stop you and stop your purpose and your fulfillment and your walk with God is not going to do anything for you. So with that being said, I just hope that these tips really helped you and gave you a deeper understanding to why I said the things I said in my post. If you're coming from my TikTok or my Instagram, I said those things because they have a lot deeper meaning than just superficial things, and I really want everybody to understand that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into this podcast episode. I absolutely loved having this conversation with you guys and talking and just getting a little deep. You know, I really like being transparent and open because I'm really an open book. When I gave my life to Christ, I knew that I was going to use my testimony and who I am to inspire others and help people come closer to God, because that is my purpose. And like my last statement, when you find Jesus, you find your purpose. And my purpose is definitely to bring women closer to God, bring men closer to God, and show others that the beauty of God is there, and that you don't have to sell your soul or do things not godly to be somebody. As much as people hate me for my Home Depot situation, I stand on it. Like, I will never change who I am or what God has made me to be, because I have been blessed profusely since then. I have been given so many opportunities, and it might not come as fast as the next person, but God has definitely showed his grace and his mercy on me. I'm so grateful for that. So yes, thank you guys for tuning into this podcast episode. And if you like this video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, turn your post notifications on, and I will see you guys in my next video. As always, stay blessed, stay positive, and bye y'all.